Guadeloupe is definitely one of the bigger islands in the mission. It's the locals actually call it Karukara, which in Creole means butterfly, because the two have it's really two islands, but it's it's called one island, but it's really two, and it's separated by like a very small little rivulet. But yeah, like there's Basse Terre and Grande Terre, and they really are like shaped like two wings of a butterfly, which is how the island gets its name. And I served all over the island. I served in, I think, five, maybe six areas on Guadeloupe, and each area is a little different. I did serve in the capital, which is Basse Terre, which is on the southernmost point of the island, and then I served also in Pointe-à-Pitre, which is, I'd say it's the busiest part of the island, the busiest city, and then I served in smaller areas as well. So it's different just depending on where you go. It's beautiful. Like, it's seriously the most beautiful place I've ever been. Very green, very lush, very gorgeous to drive through. As far as like daily life goes, it's very much like France in many ways, just because like they have the same shops and stuff like that. Like the main grocery store is liter price, which is the same as it is in France. They import a lot of their same goods from France, but they also have a lot of like local markets where you can buy fresh fruit and other goods. And that was always one of my favorite parts, just because there's like the weather on the island is fairly, well, I felt like it was fairly constant in the heat and humidity. If you ask the locals, it gets colder in winter. I didn't think so, but it gets colder in winter. As far as like crime and safety goes, like I never had much of a problem with anything like that on my mission. There were some elders that were in the more populated parts of the islands that got robbed quite a few times, which was unfortunate. But for the most part, since it's controlled by the French government, it's more. They have a stronger governmental influence than some of the other islands, like some of the English islands, where they only have like their own government for the island. But you can definitely see that with Guadeloupe and Saint Martin, Martinique, there's a very strong metropolitan influence from France. As far as like what people do, there are. Like, a lot of the members had construction jobs. Some of them had like jobs as nurses, teachers, stuff like that, like stuff we would do here. There are a lot of refugees on the islands, just from different islands, like trying to get a better life. Like, the economy on the French islands is better than it is on a lot of the other places. So we had a lot of members that were refugees that would work more like under the radar jobs, like construction jobs or things like that. You also had a lot of members that would own like their own shop, a convenience store or a boulangerie, stuff like that. So I don't know, it's pretty diverse, just depending on where you're at. There's definitely an interesting mix of French culture and Caribbean culture. The French they're warm people, but they're kind of closed off when you first get to know them. And the Caribbean culture is kind of the opposite. They're very, very warm up front and a little more standoffish. Well, not standoffish, but a little more private, kind of like we are in the U.S. when you get to know them. So it was a very interesting cultural mix, because you never knew like which side of the culture the person you talked to would be on. So you could talk to someone, they'd be very happy to see you, or you could talk to someone and they'd be very closed off. So I don't know, just that part of it was pretty interesting, I thought.